Hello. I spent the big bucks today. It's like 3 or 4 times the price. Whatever. I'm worth it. So Rapping Boomer, aka Snidely Whiplash, aka Active Poofter, has posed what he thought was an interesting point. He should have phrased it as an interesting question. He said that Johnny should take the deal because the juries don't like auditors. And I have corrected him on it, but I will continue the free legal lessons and explain why. Not just for him, but for everybody. The reason why is that juries determine questions of fact, not questions of law. And the reason why it should not get to the juries, because if you remember, the purpose of doing the audits is the auditors believe that they have a First Amendment right, that what they're doing is protected by the First Amendment, that they have a right, a constitutional right to do whatever it is they're doing, and therefore any laws or the enforcement of any laws that on their face or as enforced infringe upon those rights are unconstitutional. And juries don't determine what is or isn't unconstitutional. Judges do. Judges will determine whether or not whatever Johnny 5-0, I know he's put out a video. I'll wait for the Cliff Notes version because, number one, I'm not funding him. And number two, I don't need 50 minutes to tell me what he's charged with. It will be relatively easy for me to ask someone in Discord what he's charged with. And I will bet that by the time I get back from work today, they will have pulled up his charging documents or whatever. Because I've got some really good guys and gals in my Discord who are good at what they do. And I appreciate every one of them. And no, we're still not friends. So whatever he's charged with, if he's claiming it is a bogus charge, then and that he had a right to film, then he needs to challenge it. If juries, the unnamed, unpicked, unvordeered jury, which is a cross sample of the public, is by default going to be against him, that means the public is against him. That means that there's no way to change the laws that the auditors believe are in violation of the First Amendment through acts of the people, voter ballot initiatives, or the election of legislative bodies that will expand protections on filming or what have you. So he's conceding, and I think rightfully so, that the public hates auditors. And I agree with him. And if the public hates auditors, legislators are members of the public, and they hate auditors too, generally speaking. So there you go. There are only 2 ways to change those laws that the auditors think are violating their First Amendment rights. Number one is through the legislative bodies and the people. The other way is through the judges. Now, Snidely Whiplash, Rappin' Boomer, whatever the hell his name is today, he thinks the judges are also against him. That is conceding the only other way of changing the rules, the laws. If the judges are against auditors and the judges determine what is or isn't constitutional, that means the Constitution is against the auditors. That means that That means that what the auditors are doing is unconstitutional and it's not protected by the First Amendment. Do we all see what the problem is here? My contention, my hope, is that if Johnny 5-0 does take a plea, if he does plea out of this for some slap on the wrist, I plea with everybody who hears this, that instead of funding Johnny 5-0, you instead take your money and you fund Jeff Gray. Because Jeff Gray, unlike Johnny 5-0, researches what he's doing before he does it. He follows up with actual lawsuits. He has an attorney. He doesn't pretend he has an attorney. He has an attorney he talks to, an attorney that he plans with. If anybody in this community has the potential of changing laws on filming, it is Jeff Gray. And he has the added bonus of not being a rapist or a pedophile. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. To the best of my knowledge, he doesn't have any domestic violence convictions either. So, I mean, just win-win-win, right? One other quick point is federal trespass laws. There are 4 or 5 federal trespass laws, but they are all very specific. They're all very specific to certain locations. Like there is a trespass law for military bases. There is a specific law written by Congress to enforce trespassing in military bases. It doesn't apply anywhere else. It is specifically written for military bases. Congress has a limited rulemaking authority. Their ability to write laws has to be grounded in very set I don't know what you want to call them, areas, clauses. Like there's they have the right to raise monies for funding the military, and they can write laws about the military, but that pesky 10th Amendment reserves all the powers that are not specifically granted to Congress. All the legislative powers that aren't granted to Congress, those are granted to the states. And general policing power is granted to the states, and it is not granted to Congress. And trespassing laws are typically along those lines. Now, could Congress make a trespassing law for all federal properties? Probably, but they haven't. So, in the absence of a specific trespassing law, then the state's trespassing law may be used. Pink Camera Magic found what she thought was just a general trespassing law. It was in 25 CFR. It had to do with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, I think, BIA. And it only applies in certain situations, in certain tribes, where they don't already have a codified legal set. It is very specific in time, and it is very specific in location as to where it applies. I'm not beating Pink Camera Magic up over it. I fell into the same trap. Luckily, at some point in time, I realized that, wait a minute, this CFR is specifically for, and there's actually one of the initial, there's actually another section of it that states when, where, and why it's applicable. And I've already copied that into her, but she still didn't quite get it. So I'm hoping that maybe she understands it if I give it to her verbally, that it is specifically limited to Bureau of Indian Affairs. It is specifically limited to tribes. It is tribes and tribal lands, and only specific tribal lands that haven't established their own system of criminal laws, etc. So it's very limited, very specific. It doesn't apply to post offices or anything like that. So there you go. There's your little 10-minute energy break and legal education. I hope you enjoy it. And I'm serious. I know everybody thinks I'm against auditors, but you might want to pause and consider that I've never said a bad word about Jeff Gray and a few other auditors. And you might want to think why I am against some auditors and not others, and it might have something to do with them taking actions that are going to decrease the privileges that we have as a society and increase the regulations that we have as a society. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.